Hello and welcome back to another out of spec detailing video here from Clear Detailing in Northern Colorado. Next to me here we have the 2024 Macan Turbo Electric from Porsche of Fort Collins, and we're going to be doing a full build quality analysis on this, seeing how Porsche does electric. So join me and Kyle behind the camera for a full analysis. Welcome back. Let's jump into it. Good evening, Mr. Connor. How are you doing today?
Hello, Colton. Excited to see how the Macan is put together. I think Porsche's known for quality, precision, and this is a brand new model that was delayed, worth saying,
Yes.
for years.
Yep.
And so they had a lot of time to dial in the fit and finish. And I am fingers crossed hoping that they have delivered on the typical Porsche experience when it comes to build quality.
Yep, totally agree. So you've driven this car quite a bunch. You've driven all the variations or turbo and rear wheel drive, correct?
No, I've driven 4 and turbo. My dad did rear wheel drive in 4S for the launch just like very recently.
Cool.
And then, so then the cars have arrived at dealers over the last few weeks. And this is our local Porsche Fort Collins demo car.
Yep.
And they gave it to us for the week.
Which is amazing. So huge shout out to them for doing that. But I wanted to bring Kyle along here and give some more kind of ancillary thoughts during this build quality analysis. So typically when we do these videos, they are quite long. So I'm going to chapterize these so you guys can skip to things that you really care about and skip over the stuff you don't really care about. So we're going to be looking at exterior fit and finish, seeing how all the panels feel, seeing how the door shuts are, just getting an overall feel of quality, because from my experience working with Porsches as a professional detailer, I love working on them because you can really tell in every single little area that they really care about how high quality of a product they send out to customers. We're also going to jump inside because this is a fully redesigned interior for Macan with the new electric variation. We'll talk about all the different materials. Now, one of the tricky things with Porsche is it's very spec dependent. So this one is spec'd out pretty reasonably high, I would say. Would you agree, Kyle?
Yeah, I think it's just over 130. We'll show everyone the spec on this one.
So it's very spec dependent, and just keep that in mind throughout this. You're going to see different wood trims, different leathers, different seats, but we'll go through everything on this. And then I think lastly, we'll do a quick little segment talking about paint quality on this, doing just a quick paint analysis. We're not going to go super crazy on it, just get a rough idea of what a Porsche looks like. And we also have a Tesla back here that just went through the whole scrutiny and very much struggled. So let's quickly look here at the spec before we jump into this. Kyle, I'll have you come in here.
And maybe even actually just at a high level, just to our viewers, a unique opportunity from my side. I was able to go to the factory where they built this in Leipzig.
Yes.
So what's cool is this is built on the same line as Macan Combustion, which is sort of the previous generation, but they're continuing it because, you know, the whole world isn't ready to go electric yet. There's still a lot of Porsche combustion people, and Panamera. So this is
really?
all shared on the same line. So you'll just see them all going down, which is kind of cool.
Very cool. And this is PPE, of course, which is shared with Q6 e-tron. So I'm anxious to see that out as well, because this has already been a very good taste of that so far.
Yeah, I mean, no question, this drives really well. And surprisingly, we have not driven Q6 e-tron on this channel yet. For all the time I've spent in Europe, I just haven't had the chance to arrange that car.
Sure.
And so I think we really need to do Macan versus Q6 versus A6 e-tron when that comes, because underneath there, it's all the same.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's pretty cool to see.
And of course, Porsche did some adaptations. Lots of changes
They
here.
always do.
Yeah.
As they always do.
All right, so let's get into the spec.
So 2024, this is the turbo, so top trim variant you can get with the Macan Electric here. I mean, you can see literally the laundry list of options. I would say this one isn't fully spec'd out. We're missing a few options. Rear steer, the 14-way seats that have massage in them. So there's a few small little things, but 130 grand for this. Initially, what are your thoughts for that?
Yeah, I mean, I think when I spec out my perfect Macan, it's like another 5 grand more.
Okay.
Because I would do some more performance options, but I'd probably change up a few things here and there.
Sure.
I mean, I love the oak green here on this spec. I would do interior in black chalk rather than with lime limestone. We'll show everyone that. But of course, that's the thing with Porsche. You can absolutely personalize it completely to what you want. The one thing I have to say, and we should probably mention in this video, is a lot of the 2024 Macans are just sitting at port for months outside. So it's really important that when they get to the dealers, to just check the quality, make sure there's no spiders underneath them and stuff. And there was a huge software mess up with PPE. Volkswagen Group is known for having really rough software. And this car really, unfortunately, had a lot of those issues early on, and I think it was just a mad rush to the finish to update it with new HMI, all these things at port after they already arrived into America. So this is a market specific thing, but like I know people with Macans sitting at ports for months.
Wow. That's nuts. That's really, really crazy. So for me, I think a lot of people, you're going to have the Tesla folks that are like, well, this is a Model Y size. This competes with Model Y. In my opinion, this does not compete with Model Y. Size and shape, okay, maybe it does a little bit, but Tesla is not known for having a premium experience. They're very technology driven, very based on the supercharger network, of course. We'll talk about that with the charge ports on this. This did not ship with NACS. That can be a make or break for a lot of people right now, but I think you have to really understand the Porsche brand to justify the price point for this. And once you're kind of integrated with the Porsche brand, it honestly doesn't seem terrible, if I may say.
The pricing seems really good
when
you're already bought into the whole thing. I mean, a fully spec'd car at $135 compared to Taycan, which could be $235 to $250 now.
Exactly.
Taycan has just got so expensive that I think a lot of people looking for an electric Porsche are going to drive this and go, okay, it's certainly not as special as Taycan. Taycan's really, of course, just a really cool performance-oriented electric platform, but you can get so much car and so many options and so much performance for the money, even compared to their own sort of sports electric sedan. So I think Macan's going to be a huge seller for them. I think certainly a lot of people that are cross-shopping this to a Model Y, that's not who this car is built for.
No.
That's, we're not here to convince anyone to buy this car. We're just saying, it's a whole nother stratosphere of quality and driving dynamics and things like that.
So what does this really compete with? I mean, off the top of my head, I guess you could really say iX, but that's definitely a little bit bigger. You can spec those pretty much similar to this as far as price, maybe Polestar 3 on kind of the lower end. I mean, you've had some experience in that car, and my feelings of our conversations, you were pretty blown away with that car. So I think this sits definitely a little higher than some, but it's not outrageous. So price, very expensive anytime you get into Porsche world.
It's worth mentioning you can get a Macan rear drive based out for, a nice one for 90, low 90s.
Right.
Is a nice car.
Yep. So Porsche's all about spec, and this one is finished in their brand new color. This is Oak Green Metallic Neo. We just saw literally yesterday the new GT3 Touring came out with this new color. Kyle also was saying the new Cross Turismo in this color. I think it is absolutely stunning. Porsche does colors unbelievably well. I mean, they literally have a list of just paint to sample this, paint to sample that, but this is actually a color you can spec for $24.90, which is actually not that bad.
Yeah, so Porsche will do these special colors where they'll take some samples from their paint to sample collection and then make them sort of widely available at a reduced cost. And this is one of those situations. And it's a color they've used for the launch of many different vehicles this year. Cross Turismo of the facelift Taycan. Now, of course, the electric Macan here in the turbo spec. This is sort of it's not actually the communication color. It was ice gray for the Macan Turbo, but it's sort of the dealer demo spec, because this is actually listed as on the window sticker, it has something that says like pre-series car, or not pre-series, but like a demo car launch vehicle right there.
Ah, interesting.
Yeah, so it's, this is like one of many identically spec'd Macans.
Okay.
Maybe 30, 40 of them that got distributed out in this exact specification, because this is how Porsche wants their clients to experience it with these options. I'm surprised it doesn't have rear steer to be a launch vehicle.
Right. Yeah, totally agree. What do you say we get into build quality analysis, starting on the exterior? So we have a very new redesigned Macan front end. The first thing that stands out to me here, the massive kind of chin splitter spoiler on here. Man, I think it looks pretty sharp in all honesty. But let me grab my little tool over here. So this is what I basically use to measure panel gaps and thicknesses. Now, Porsche is very notorious for inspecting their cars before they leave the factory, not using a tool exactly like this, but using panel fitment checks and making sure that everything's lined up pretty well. So we're going to use this throughout. This will be in millimeters, just for example. I always like to say this because Singer basically takes all of their cars and puts 4 mil gaps on all of them, and they'll shave down the edges to make sure they're exactly 4 mils. So I would say maybe that should start being an industry standard, but that's just me.
That would be, no cars would get built in volume,
right?
Colton.
But Porsche does some amazing stuff for high volume vehicles. So I'm going to kind of say 4 mils is really right around where I want to see them, but let's keep continuing on here.
I like it.
So huge, massive hood here, very 911-esque styling, of course. What we're going to look for here is just go down here and basically look at all of these shut lines. First thing I'm noticing, actually, Kyle, this doesn't fit perfectly. If you feel this, the hood is kind of sitting a little bit down compared to this front fender here. Wouldn't say it's the worst thing ever, but this could definitely get slightly dialed in so far. Now, I want to just take a quick measurement up here. So that's right about 4 millimeters there, my perfect gapping, I would say. And this is a little bit tighter. You can see 3 millimeters. So that's about a millimeter off there. Just want to say that. Let's jump to the other side over here.
And is a millimeter off unusual in a Porsche for you?
I mean, honestly, I've been around 911s a lot and worked on some pretty crazy Porsches in my 10 plus years of detailing. It does seem more than usual. There's some areas I've already seen on this car that was like, okay, that seems maybe off, maybe it's intentional. Maybe they're doing this so that the hood, when it opens up, isn't contacting the fender. So I just want to note these things, but the way we can look at this is going side by side. If there's variation in that, then that's probably not as intended. So here you have 5 millimeters on this side. So that's even a millimeter more than the other side. And then down here, honestly, that's probably about 2.5. So what I'm saying here is this side here is double the amount of panel gap as here. So I'd like to see this hood already kind of tightened up a little bit. And honestly, that seems a little strange in my opinion for Porsche. Let's check this up here. So that's right about 4 millimeters. Again, that same exact gapping as we were talking about. And then here, pretty much the same. So that seems pretty darn good to me. One thing you will notice on this, we have the new Turbo Night badges. Kyle, I think these look absolutely incredible. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, love it. Love the Turbo Night thing. I mean, I think it just is, I don't know, fits the brand perfectly.
It really does. And you'll see some accents throughout the cars. Like basically this little piece is that same Turbo Night color. You have it in the crests as well. There's some more accents around the car that's really cool. These new headlights here look absolutely unbelievable, but this is not the actual headlight. This is basically your DRL running light. Very Taycan-esque, I would say, and definitely, with the Porsche design language here with basically the 4 kind of strikes in it, they're doing this very differently.
And this is only on the Matrix design headlights.
Okay.
I think on the standard headlight, you get more of a surround top and bottom.
Right. Yep, definitely.
And the Taycan base headlight matches the Macan base headlight. Because the Taycan we have on test right now, it has base headlights in it, and it has it doesn't have the 4 dots.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, some of their design language is like that, I guess.
Yeah.
So I'd say the headlights look like they fit in here very nicely. I've always liked that style that they've done with Taycan. They've changed it now on the newer generation facelift Taycan, but it really feels like it's kind of molded into the body. Down here is your actual headlights, which is pretty interesting. We're seeing a lot of manufacturers go to this. Kyle, do you know why everybody's going to this instead
The split system?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's regulation driven for, of course, Porsche is a global manufacturer. Sure. And there are certain regulations about headlight height. And it also enables, basically having a maybe more compact running light design to give the car a face, and then you can hide the headlights down there. Actually, if people are more curious about this, I interviewed the head of lighting at Audi, and if you look up our A6 e-tron Sportback and Avant video, I talked to him about that, so he answers a lot more than I can share.
It's pretty cool. I just wanted to definitely point that out. I mean, you look at the new Model 3 Performance back there, new sleek, slim headlights, but it's all built into one. And we're seeing a lot more, especially in the electric world, doing this. I'm thinking of i7 has a very distinct headlight design like this. But front bumper is pretty large across the front end here, of course. Porsche always has the biggest front bumpers in my impression. They really wrap all the way around. What I really like here though is how tight all of these tolerances are. The only thing again here, this bumper seems like it is indented compared to this fender. So I'm seeing some stuff like that that is maybe not ideal. Here on the edge actually feels pretty good there though. I don't know, pretty darn interesting. You also have this molding in here, this piano black piece. I think a lot of people may not love that. That's going to get rock chip scratched to heck. So that could be an interesting thing over time, but it looks like it fits pretty nicely all the way through. Park distance sensors down here. I have no complaints with how anything fits down here. It all feels pretty darn nice to me. We also do have a front camera here. Is that an option, I would assume, Kyle?
The 360 view, yeah, it might be to have this camera there, and then that radar unit. It might be, the radar unit might be standard. The thing is, Macan is so new, we haven't really figured out what all of the different options and specs are yet, but at least every Macan that I've been around or tested or seen has the InnoDrive function, which is like lane keep assist, adaptive cruise, and then following lane guidance and, speed limit marking, slowing down for corners. I think everyone should just get that anyway. It's only like $900.
Yes.
But yes, and they all have like the camera and this thing down here.
Yeah, very, very cool there. The 360 cams in here, we'll talk about that when we get inside, I would say are pretty potato-like, actually pretty bad quality for a brand new car launching in 2024.
It's like the resolution is nice, but then the like aspect ratio is all wrong, and it's so hard to pull up close to an object. And like Taycan has one of the worst backup cameras, and this is like, man, you just would have thought they would have put in perfect 360-degree view cameras, and I'm just not. We've only spent a day with it so far, or only a few hours really, but I'm just not sold on the camera system.
No, just backing it up in here, I thought I was going to smack into the Twizy, and
there was like 5 feet behind you.
Yeah, I know. It's pretty wild there.
Actually, I noticed it in Alyssa's e-tron today, pulling in the garage forwards. It does this like fisheye view that this does. And it's like they've had 5 years to work on this.
Totally agree. Totally agree there. Front bumper here, definitely still feeling that, Kyle. So noticing this bumper is kind of sitting in. This to me does not feel very reminiscent of Porsches that I've been around as of late. We'll see if that kind of continues throughout the car. But on the front end so far, I mean, the hood doesn't seem like it fits absolutely perfect to me. And honestly, I always praise Porsche for their tolerances on their bumpers because they are smack dab right in there. We talk about this a lot when you get into PPF. Trying to tuck stuff into Porsche bumpers can actually be really tricky because they have such tight tolerances, but I'm very surprised on this. This line over here, still the same thing. I mean, the bumper is definitely pressed in a little bit, so a little disappointed in that particular area, to be totally honest. Now, moving down the side here, we of course have this electric badge. Kyle was actually telling me you have to have this. There is no model deletion for this, which is pretty weird for especially Porsche.
And our US options might be different than the Euro options, of course, and they definitely are, but at least when I've gone through the configurator, I can't figure out any way to get rid of that electric badge. No, if I'm wrong, then okay, it's a minor thing, but yes, I couldn't figure out how to get rid of it because I don't like it.
Yeah, I don't know. It just seems kind of out of place to me. And I think a lot of people buying a Porsche don't necessarily want a lot of people to know that they bought the electric version of it, Yeah,
we met a guy just when we had it outside here in the parking lot who's a Porsche enthusiast, has a Cayenne Turbo. He's like, oh, dude, new Porsche. I haven't seen this thing. That looks really cool. And then we were like, it's electric. And he was like, oh, okay, have a nice day.
Pretty much. And there's a lot of Porsche people like that. But let's talk about this fender here to the door. These tolerances actually look quite nice. Let's take some quick measurements here if we can. So that is right about 3.5 millimeters. That may even be slightly more because I can feel a lip there, but feels pretty solid all the way down.
Is that 3.5 at the bottom?
Yeah, maybe slightly more, but I do think there's a lip in here that's causing that not to be able to go in all the way there. So I think they're pretty darn tight. I mean, my eyes look pretty solid all the way down.
Yeah, I can stand here roughly and just gauge this to the viewers, but it looks freaking awesome.
Looks spot on. Even down here, down straight to the molding, that's something that a lot of companies struggle with. When you start getting these ancillary products, I'm thinking of Rivian really struggles with things like this on those side areas. I mean, the tolerance on the door will be like this, and then it's, you know, over the top of the other part. So that's interesting to see there. Moving down the side, we have, of course, the Macan side blade here. This is finished, I would assume, in that same Turbo Night color, which is pretty nice accent there.
Yeah, it could be Vesuvius gray. I know they've been using that.
Could be an option there,
but
too,
I'm not sure which it is. Yeah.
It looks great to me anyway.
Yes.
But yeah, all the tolerances here feel very nice. It feels like a very high quality piece. Doesn't seem like just a piece of plastic thrown on there. Let's talk here, Kyle, a little bit about the door handles. They're a little interesting, I will say.
Yeah.
Definitely feel very reminiscent of Audis as of recently. They're not a mechanical, but they're kind of electronic, but you still get this little pull in them.
But pull harder. So like block the door with your knee, and then you'll get into the mechanical component.
Ah, okay. Interesting.
Yeah. So if the electric latch fails or the car doesn't have power, like if 12 volt dies, you can still pull past it. And I've actually, I must be really hard on doors, but I rip doors open and rip them closed, I guess. And I always get into the mechanical.
Oh, wow. You really do.
Yeah.
Oh, you can definitely get it in there.
It's not so bad, but I noticed it just getting in and out of it all day today where I'm like, it's just, you know. And I just want to go quick. I'm trying to get in the car and go.
For me, door handles are always this funny thing. It's the first time you're really interacting with the car. I have always said this, and I will always say this in my build quality reviews. Mercedes EQ line has the worst door handles, and it just translates what I feel in the cheapness of a lot of interior components. So having a nice door handle to me is kind of a big deal.
I would say this is a nice door handle.
Totally agree. And
really like it.
Yeah, I completely agree. It's not overly complicated. It's not like, you know, a Tesla door handle that has to be super weird and funky, or something that pops out, something that can fail. Your Model S Plaid has had multiple door handles replaced on it, so there's nothing wrong with stuff like this.
Taycan door handles suck, by the way.
Yes, totally agree.
And same with 911. Like, I just do not like those plasticky door handles that pop out. This is a good door handle. It's not funky. Maybe it's not the best for aero, but I just love being able to come here and pull it, and it's got that, I don't know, really high quality feeling. Similar to Alyssa's e-tron, not totally, locked in, but you're right on the Audi feel. There's a lot in this car that, of course, is shared with Audi products. Sure. I think Porsche has done a really good job of kind of hiding the user from that. And also, I think a lot of it maybe doesn't feel so much familiar Audi going on here because it is a brand new platform that sets both companies' futures up with new stuff.
Yep.
So I'm sure when we drive Q6, and I've played around with Q6, played around with A6, there's a lot of shared components, but they don't feel Porsche or Audi. It's just new.
Huh, interesting. Yeah, this is we literally 15 minutes before this was my first time driving the new Macan Electric here. I was pretty blown away. I mean, there's a lot of cool things. Few things we'll talk about, especially on the interior. NVH I was a little surprised about. Definitely a little bit louder than I expected. That could be partly having, you know, frameless windows here. And these are not double paned, which is actually kind of surprising. Model 3 Performance back there gets double paned glass. Is it as quiet as Model 3 Performance? I don't know. It seems reasonably quiet.
Rolls-Royce Spectre single pane.
Really?
Yep. iX single pane, i7 single pane.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So I'm not sold on the double pane thing.
Okay.
And I don't think this one's spec'd with the thermal noise glass.
That could make a big difference.
And it's also on we heard a lot of road noise from the tires, but I'm not here, like I said, I'm not here to make excuses for the car, but
yeah, it was definitely louder than I expected. So that's something that I did want to say there. Now with this, we of course have this kind of chrome stainless trim. This feels so high quality and premium. I'm not the biggest fan of chrome, but the way Porsche just does trim accents like this, I mean, look at the tolerance here. Like that is so perfect.
Oh my gosh.
That's what I'm used to with Porsche. So that's why I'm like kind of surprised. Like the front end, there's some weird stuff going on, but now that we're moving down the side, things are starting to feel better. Door gaps here all feel pretty good. This is a little bit thicker in this particular area, Kyle. Let's take a little measurement here. So that's about 5.5 millimeters. And I can tell you this door, yep, right about 3.5 there.
I think the door extends, oh no. The side blades are, but I think side blades go all the way down. Dude. We're nitpicking here.
That's what we do. That's what this whole channel's about.
That's what Porsche owners want to know.
Exactly. Yes. And this is what I have a hard time explaining this to Tesla people. They're like, I just don't understand. Like, it's a car. Who cares? I'm like, you're spending $50,000 on this. If you have scratches all over your brand new $1,000 smartphone, you're going to return the damn thing. So that's why we talk about this stuff. But these doors back here, all is looking pretty darn well. I will say this door is actually sticking out a little bit.
Yeah, dude. I would say that doesn't fit that well.
It really doesn't.
Look at
up
this
here
right
it
here.
does, but definitely down there.
That's not great.
Okay, so we're finding a few small little things here.
This is why we try and do these build quality reviews not on press cars.
Yes, because press cars, a lot of people don't know this, actually have some, what is it, BMW and Mercedes, like they pull them off the line. They have a special code that goes on the window sticker for them to tighten up all these tolerances.
And then, especially in BMW's case, they all go to South Carolina, get broken in, and then they do exactly what we're doing here, but fix every single little thing. They'll put washers between like headlights and stuff.
Yeah, little shims and things like that.
I had dinner with the guy who preps the press cars, and I'm like, you got to tell us what the heck you do. And they're like, okay, we don't juice the cars. They don't do anything like that. They just make them as production representative as possible. But this is just a customer unit.
This is something, if you go to purchase one of these, this is what you're going to get. At least
this is one of the ones you could get.
This is a sample size of one. So I always need to say that this may be an oddball car, but I'm already seeing quite a few things that don't really represent Porsche, in all honesty, that I've seen.
Definitely setting us up like Rivian when we first got the first R1Ss. They were terrible.
Yes.
And then, through your videos, and I'll make sure people in Porsche see this as well, we can learn the story, we can tell this, and we have access to all of the Macans coming in over, a period of time into the future to help, cover this story.
Yeah, because I think this is important, especially on a $130,000 car. Porsche people are people who are like me, who are going to inspect their car when it comes off the trailer. Don't touch it. I'm going to go throw full PPF on it. Like, they are very particular. So I do think, there are some things on here that are a little off so far.
I totally agree.
Let's talk about this Chargeport. How do you actually open this? Does Porsche communicate how you should open this?
So when I first went to the Macan unveiling, I was able to be a part of the communication program where our video, along with Porsche, showed the Macan for the first time ever, which was amazing. And part of that program, when I was taking everyone on a full tour, I talked to some of the engineers ahead of time, like, just show me some things that are interesting, what would our viewers like as the nerds. And of course, opening the Chargeport was one of them. At the time, the cars that we had a thick layer of paint on them. There was like PTS, but they were the marketing cars or whatever. Yep. And the sensors would not work in the door, the automatic Chargeport doors. And they were saying that there was an issue with PTS Macans or Macans with specialty multi-layer paint. I think that's what it was, the multi-layer paints that the sensor couldn't pick up when you were touching it. So I'm really curious to see what happens when there's grime and dirt and stuff, because that's been fixed now. I mean, this car would have been considered one of the paints, and you just kind of put your hand right here on the back, is my understanding. Or the front. What the heck? Oh, maybe because it's like off.
Did it go off?
Yeah, maybe we got to wake it up.
Okay, there it went. Oh, so it was just off. Okay.
Okay, yeah, the car was just off. But you just put your hand, you don't need to swipe it, don't mess up your paint. You put your hand here, roughly, and then it should open.
Okay.
This is also an option. You can get manual Chargeport doors.
Okay, which I would probably choose over this. Is there any sort of buttons inside to just open them?
Yes. Okay, in the navigation, not a button, but in the HMI.
Should just be a hard button, like just a normal gas cap. They go boop.
If you're annoyed now, wait till you hear this, Colton.
Okay.
We've just opened this. There is no way to close this.
Unless you put it in drive or wait 2 minutes.
Right. Maybe locking it would do it. Let's do the key. Yes,
there we go.
Locking it will do it as well.
Okay.
When you unplug a charge port from it, 10 seconds is all you have to wait.
Okay.
But when you have the vehicle unlocked, as an example, and you open the charge port, which you just touch right there.
Perfect.
Yep. This will not close the charge port.
Which I thought that should have been a button there. Like, what does this button actually do?
This is to stop charging and unlatch the connector.
Okay, so make that a multi-function button that if you click it 3 times and tap your heels or something, it'll close it.
Yeah, maybe that's a thing. So if you push and hold it, it puts the car into a more open communication profile to work with different chargers, mostly for the Chinese market. Like, this is an American spec car, so just make it close the door.
Yep.
We don't need compatibility mode here.
That's pretty funny.
Oh, yeah, this is not.
So this is an interesting thing. So we actually have 2 charge ports, very similar to Taycan. This is DC charging on this side, as it just closed again. And that's a problem, Kyle. What the heck?
Yeah, so I have seen Volkswagen Group try to implement this bottom lip thing. And the thing is, it's designed to stay down, so you can pull this down and someone like with one hand like you can get it in. And then when you remove the charge port, that like basically
It closes this.
yeah, it puts a little bit of upward pressure as you're pulling out, and that will get closed.
Okay.
However, I'm going to guarantee you it will not work every time.
Okay.
Because in all of, this is the same charge port inlet that Volkswagen Group has used in other vehicles, Taycan, stuff like that. They don't work every time. And
Okay.
so both this and the Taycan get hung up when this is down. And I really think, like, if you look at a Rivian situation where they also have a lip on the bottom, the charge port can still open and close with the lip open.
Absolutely. Yeah, every time I detail a Rivian here, those flaps are like 90% of the time always just down.
Yep.
People never put them back up because it's just one of those things. You like unhook, you're not going back here, closing your charge port. You're getting in the car ready to go, and the charge port is closing automatically.
Yeah, when I'm on a road trip going charger to charger to charger, I just leave it open.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but if I'm going to park it outside and it's going to snow and rain or schmutz or whatever, then I'll just close it if I'm AC charging for a while. I really wish I had the option to do that here, because what I would end up doing as a customer after like the first week the car is in production and this gets cycled a million times in use, I would just rip that off.
Yeah, I totally agree. That just seems like such a design flaw to me, but I don't know. I think that's enough on the charge port.
Yeah.
It just seems crazy to me and something I wanted to point out here.
I will give them props for putting the DC side on the driver rear, which is where it should be for our market for access to superchargers.
Totally agree. And Taycan is on the passenger side front.
Which also works.
Yes, exactly. So they've done this right, in my opinion, as well. So let's continue here, looking here at the rear bumper. It's still not perfect. I'm shocked. Okay. No, this line does actually not line up. I mean, what I want to feel when I swipe my hand over that is it should be perfectly flush. And if you see this, my fingers kind of pop up there. So I would say a little bit tight tolerance.
Do that one more time now. Oh, wait, there we go. Yeah.
It's just slightly off.
I think that's acceptable.
I don't disagree, but this is perfect here. It should be better.
So just show the potential customer.
Yes, this is what it looks like, sir. I don't know. That to me, I've seen better from Porsche, so.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, moving on to the back. This is Kyle's least favorite part of the car.
Yeah.
It does look like an egg. I figured out why it looks like an egg. Previous Macan had a beautiful spoiler here, and I think that would totally change it, but they've gone for a very slick aero profile, and it's very interesting how this glass sits in here. I mean, that was one of the first things I looked at, a very small looking spoiler in this particular area, and then you have this kind of rubber. It looks like it's just kind of placed on there and doesn't look like it's allowed to move, but it actually does move. Opens up when you actually open the trunk here. Now, for Macan, used to be here to open the rear trunk. It is now moved down here and very hidden, which is kind of nice.
Yeah, Macan is just, the goal of Macan is to engineer the most hidden trunk opening button.
Yes, very much so. Very much so. So let's see how this closes down here. We're at a construction site.
Wow, it is literally the sound sample of like an F-150 commercial spec in reverse.
Yeah, it really is.
That's amazing.
Okay, that's pretty wild here. I just want to take some tolerances up here. I'll just tell you what this is. That is 6.5 millimeters up there. And if we can see over here, that's 4. So that's a little bit different. And I just opened that with my belly. Nice. Okay. So looking at here, Kyle, I was showing you this before we even started the video. This looks like a big gap, in my opinion, especially for Porsche.
This is the active spoiler, and this is the, sort of panel here.
So again, 6 millimeters there. The issue I have with this doesn't match all the way down here. If I take a measurement down here, we're at 5 millimeters down there as well. And then in here, 5 millimeters as well. So this part fits really nice, but this to me seems a little bit large, and my eyes went exactly to here.
That was the first thing you noticed when we pulled it in.
Yeah, very much so. It just caught my eye, and I was like, wow, that definitely seems larger than expected.
And this is a separate component of the active spoiler that does go up and down.
Absolutely, yep.
Doesn't really look great in up.
Or either.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. The back end's just, it's taking some time to get used to. Of course, we have a very large light bar here. I really like a lot of the design accents they've done here. First off, you have this kind of stealthed out, frozen. I don't even know how they actually do this, but it's a very cool material on here. Really gives some depth to the taillight.
Oh, this plastic.
I've never seen that before.
I've never seen that on any
It's
car.
not plastic either.
No.
It's, well, maybe it is because it's part of the light, but you can see it's like this is cut out here. That is such a cool design. I love that.
Yeah, nice
very
work
cool
on
there.
that.
Very cool there. Of course, you have the Porsche across. I'm sure you can get these in 10,000 different colors, of course, to match whatever you're going for. Back end design here, especially the lower rear diffuser, straight off a Taycan to me. I mean, very same slats that are horizontal here. I think it looks pretty darn good. The only larger complaint I have here, Kyle, why are we doing fake air vents on cars in 2024?
Ooh, that was the first thing Drew noticed.
Yeah, not into that because the whole front end seems like it's very designed for active aero, and they needed to add something back here. I'm sure this does some aero stuff, but
Yes.
I don't like vents that are fake.
Agreed. Maybe just don't put the vent shape in there then.
Yeah, that could be.
Yeah, like leave the aero improvements, but just don't put the vents here.
Yeah, I don't know. That to me just looks cheap.
There's also a big hole back here.
Holy smokes.
Just wanted to
Wow,
point out.
that really goes on for miles down there, actually.
Yeah, it does. So I don't know why you can see the air suspension tank and if it's missing a cover or not.
Oh, wow.
But you can literally see it through the receiver hitch.
Okay.
I don't know if that's there if you don't spec the trailer hitch.
I don't know. That does seem pretty odd to me. How much does this actually tow?
4,500 pounds, 40, yeah,
pretty
just under
reasonable.
5,000.
Okay. I mean, that's reasonable for
That's
a very
lot for a small car.
reasonable small
Yeah.
car here.
I'm actually going to run it in the rustic ring with 5,000 pounds. Don't tell any legal authorities.
Yes.
What?
This is perfect.
This is perfect?
This
Okay.
is perfect. That's how it
Nice.
should be.
Oh, yeah, you're right. That's how it should be.
Yeah, exactly. This is what I expect on every side. So that bumper side needs to get its tolerances fixed. I know I'm weird with this stuff. I totally get it. But
You're
when you're
like
buying
every
a Porsche,
Tesla owner in the comment section saying, my body panels didn't fit here.
it drives me nuts. It absolutely drives me nuts when they don't fit. But a lot of the Porsches I've been around have been extremely tight tolerances here. This door is doing the same thing as the other side, definitely sticking out down here a little bit.
Other Macans that you've been around.
Boy, it has been 3-4 years. I felt like they were a lot tighter.
Yeah, maybe Panamera as well. I'm just trying to think about things that came out of the Leipzig factory that are not the Carrera GT.
So one of the craziest cars that I did, and it may have been out of Leipzig, was a Panamera Turbo SE Hybrid Executive.
Oh, baby,
And
long
that
wheelbase.
thing was the business. And I feel like every single tolerance on that was like hand measured. Like it felt like perfect, in all honesty.
When I was at the factory, they had an end of line where every car was staged that came off to be
Right.
hand inspected. So
Right.
I know they do that. I saw it firsthand.
Right. Yeah. And I think that's what I expect. So that's why I'm surprised when I'm starting to see things like that. I know this is a brand new vehicle for them, but Porsche builds some of the highest quality, more mass produced vehicles, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So that's my feelings there.
Yeah.
Moving down the side here, these doors, they're okay. I wouldn't say they're perfect.
No soft close either on this car.
Is it an optionable?
I don't think so.
Okay. So-
Maybe. It is now on Taycan. That was a
Okay.
big deal.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of surprised with the exterior fit and finish. I honestly expect a little bit more.
Okay, so exterior fit and finish, if you had to rate it out of 10. Don't rate it against other Porsches, rate it against other vehicles that are in this sort of category. So think Polestar 3, iX, maybe even, Model Y, throw it in there, may as well. Model X, it's sort of in between those sizes.
Yeah, I'd say it's definitely better built than Model Y and Model X. I would say I would probably give this a 7 out of 10. I mean, a lot of this stuff could be massaged out, but I'm just like, my eye directly goes to stuff like this. And I think this is something that most people don't quite understand about me as a professional detailer. Kyle and I were just out at Monterey Car Week. I'm walking up to a $5,000 Koenigsegg, and instead of looking at all the cool...
$5 million Koenigsegg.
Yes, $5 million Koenigsegg.
I'd buy a $5,000 Koenigsegg.
Yes. $5 million Koenigsegg, I look at the paint and go, oh my God, there's scratches there. That's what my eyes do. So this is why I see stuff like this, and Porsche owners honestly do care about this stuff. Yeah. So enough on that. Let's jump inside and talk about the interior, because I think that's where this vehicle really shines above a lot of the others. You join Kyle and I now in the very nice interior of the Macan Turbo. Kyle looks definitely a little slightly cramped back there. What do you think? A little bit?
It's fine.
It's not terrible.
It's not huge. There's room for a Cayenne.
Yes, there very much is. Macan's always been a very small package, and I always feel like the rear seats have been a little small, especially for dogs and things like that. But
it is bigger than combustion Macan back here.
Yes, definitely bigger for sure. But this is a whole new interior for Macan, and first impressions, I think, pretty impressive. What do you think?
Yeah, I saw this car, like I said, maybe, I don't know, almost a year ago for the first time, 8 months, something like that. And just was like, damn. Yes. So good.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Good. And even driving it over here too, I'm just like, wow, we have a Taycan and a Macan right now. We have this and our Taycan.
Yep.
I like this.
Wow. That's big, because you're Mr. Taycan.
I know. I would still get Taycan for the charging performance and, whatever, some of the hardcore chassis performance stuff. But like just to get in and out of every day, and you have the newer, faster screens with all the newer software that's so nice in this, that's running on Android with the fastest route planning I've ever seen, with this one spec'd with Burmester that just sounds absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just going to drive this around as much as possible.
Yeah, it's freaking nice. I mean, first off, sitting in here, the seat is nice and low, which I know is one of Kyle and I's biggest things getting into a car. I want the seat on the floor. I want the steering wheel out. And speaking of steering wheels, Porsche makes the best steering wheels in the entire game. It is perfectly sized, perfectly thick, and it just feels incredible. I absolutely love it. And they've been able to do this through 991 generations of Porsches and GT3s and all of that. And it really feels like, isn't this not the same wheel you had in the Touring, or very similar to?
Almost identical.
Yeah. And that's just cool that you can get that on your daily driver. I think that is absolutely incredible. The new display up here is pretty awesome. I mentioned while driving this, especially at night, what a high quality display. Actually, all of them very much are. This one, of course, has the optional third screen over here, which is really interesting. When you're parked, I can actually see it, but when you put it into drive, it basically goes away. I don't know how they do that. It's pretty
it goes away for the
tech.
driver.
Right, exactly. Let's see if we can do that here. I can still see it right now.
Yeah, maybe it's while in motion.
Yeah, it could be. But I genuinely could not see it from the driving position, which is...
the passenger has no idea.
Yeah, which is wild. So wild. In front of me here, we have one of the coolest heads-up displays I've ever seen. It's honestly a little trippy. When I first drove it, I was a little surprised. But the cool thing about this, it's very large. It's out of the way, but it moves actually while you're going around turns. Craziest piece of technology I've ever seen. But speaking about the dash up here, this is where you start feeling like you are in a Porsche. When you start touching all these things, all very nice, tight, Napa grain type leather, like very, very tight leather. I'm sure the Germans are not going to like me saying Napa leather, but it is very tight grain leather.
Yeah, it's a fine grain, high quality, dry leather.
Yes, it is absolutely incredible, and they knock it out of the park.
Nothing makes me feel more icky than the Genesis, I don't know, slimy leather they put in everything. It's awful.
It really is. And Porsche does their leather so right. Now, there is one thing about leather that me as a professional detailer doesn't love, that it wrinkles over time. Kyle just got in the back seat back there and actually was saying the center basically stack there.
You know, there's an impression right here.
And that's one of the issues with leather. It basically expands and contracts. And you'll see over time, like these side bolsters will start to get blown out, especially if you don't clean them properly. But I think everywhere you look here, I mean, even the center console here is wrapped in leather. This entire piece is wrapped in leather. Is this leather down here as well?
Well, so this is spec'd with the $2,500 or so, maybe just under, limestone and black interior. I would go for chalk personally.
Right.
I really like a bright white interior, but you really have to maintain it. You stay on top, and that's no problem for me. We clean our cars inside often, and if we don't, they come here for a reconditioning every 6 months or something.
Yep.
But I wish, Colton, you could get whatever material Rivian uses in this car.
And I have praised Rivian very heavily on their interiors. And my feeling with Rivian interiors, they're the best wearing. They keep their color the longest. Like you'll even see on Porsches, I've worked on some older like 997s, 996, 911s, and the leather just starts to degrade and degrade over time. Now with synthetic leather, also known as vegan leather, I hate that word for it, but they're getting these so nice that you don't really worry about it. I mean, Kyle has dogs in his car 24/7. He's in and out of his seat all the time. And honestly, I go to clean it up. The seat looks brand new. It blows me away.
It's incredible because I've put an unusual amount of high wear on that side bolster just because of how high the truck is, and there's no wrinkles in there.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. And Kyle's one of those guys who is like, you know, when we get in and out of the cars, he's like, oh, don't crinkle the side bolster. You know, like you're pretty particular about that.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty impressed just being in here so far. I mean, all of the switchgear is very nice. This is one of my favorite little things here, Kyle. I don't know why I like this so much. We actually have manual air vents here, unlike Taycan that are fully electronic. I very much prefer this over that. The one weirdest thing I would say is the center console area. I've heard mixed feelings on this. I know your dad just drove Macan and he was like, I love the center console because I can have water bottles in here and not have them distracting this driver area. And you with your Audi e-tron said you just end up putting so much stuff in here you can't even figure out what's going on.
Yeah, can't get to the cup holders anymore. I don't know. Sure. I don't like it personally.
Okay.
And the USB-C ports are almost impossible to get your hand up to. And then get it to plug in. It's such a pain.
Oh my gosh. I can't even feel where they go.
Right, I know. It took me a good couple minutes to
I see where they're at, and I just stuck my finger in the cigarette lighter. So thankfully I wasn't electrocuted there, but yeah. Here we have this haptic screen. You can see when I press the heated seat, the entire screen moves. What do you think about this? I actually kind of like it.
Love it, Colton. It's so much better than the screen in Taycan. This is very similar to the new generation Cayenne, the facelift.
Yep.
And hopefully maybe other models will come. Oh, Panamera has something similar too, I guess. I don't know. I drove that car. Can't remember it, to be honest. So many cars. Yes. But anyway, new Cayenne has something like this. And this is just awesome. Way better than the screen in Taycan that just never felt right. And they do those fake haptics that I always turn off because I hate the hammer that hits the back of the screen. And this is great. These switches are really nice. You got all the bronze switches everywhere. So it's like they're just really high quality.
Whoa, hello.
Oh, it has the loudest air-conditioned seat ever.
Oh, that's just the AC seat?
That's just the AC seat screaming.
I don't know if you guys can hear that, but it is like genuinely, I don't even know where it comes from, but the noise is insane.
I'm surprised you don't create any sort of positive lift when it's on because it's really loud. Yeah.
That is very loud. Okay, so that's a huge negative. If you like AC seats, and I mean, maybe if you like white noise all the time, it's great, but like...
You just need to compensate with Burmester.
Yeah, for sure. Just crank this volume knob, and great volume knob here. I've felt better. I think Lucid has probably the best volume knob out of any electric car I've been in.
Jordan hates the Lucid one.
Yeah. Whatever. It is what it is. Yeah, honestly, I think it's a very nice place to be in here. Every single touch point you interact with feels pretty darn nice in my impression. Any thoughts there?
No, I just think the tolerances are great. The fit on everything, the stitching is all pretty much perfect. I've taken a look around and haven't seen really many things. The side bolster is starting to wear on this car. This is the demo car. Millions of people have been in and out of it.
Yep.
But, you know, just something to be mindful of. The perforation quality The overall material quality feels great. Everything is so tight. There's no rattles in here, which of course, most people would expect a new car not to rattle. A lot of cars we drive do rattle.
Insane.
An insane amount. This is really tight, to the point where you actually do get some sort of low frequency sort of bumps that come into the cabin. That you're like, oh wow, anything wrong and road noise is more noticeable because the cabin is so quiet. I do have to complain about something not so important, and that would be the peasant blockers back here. This, at least when I used it before, didn't fit. You can see it
still doesn't.
Yeah, it's tucked up here and then open here, and the material here is not tight on that side, but it is tight on this side.
Oh, that one doesn't even go all the way to the top. Or does that one?
No, this one's stuffed up into the roof.
Yeah, and this one's not even touching.
Yeah, that's kind of the thing. It's like those little, the reason you're spending more money than the equivalent size performance Model Y, as an example. And this is smaller than Model Y, we should mention. The reason you spec up for a Porsche isn't just for driving dynamics. It isn't just for the badge. It is for, at least for me, the thing that I care about most in a Porsche is the engineers who I've gotten to know over the years care about every single little detail that you and I care about.
Yep.
And I know they're going to be freaking out watching this video, as they should be, because those things may seem minor to most people, but just having it not complete everywhere, dude, on a car, you're spending the money for that kind of engineering. That's rough.
I totally agree. I would say that's the one biggest points on the interior we've seen so far. I haven't seen a ton. Honestly, I drove this car in the dark. I could definitely go through and probably find a few things in here.
Yeah, but it's really nice other than that.
Yeah, it really nice. Is. Again, I think one of my biggest takeaways from driving it, I was surprised at the road noise. I really expected it to be a lot quieter. To be honest, I think my EV9 is actually even quieter, and that's a Korean-made vehicle.
Yeah, the Koreans are doing some cool stuff, let me tell you.
Just have to say, and half the price of this. So, for example.
And much larger.
One thing I'm noticing here, just looking around the interior, the rear seats are completely different perforation style to the front ones.
Really?
This is old Macan style.
Mm-hmm.
And this is, I guess, their ventilated seats up here. But see how tight all of these are? And those are more spread out. So it seems like there's two different interiors.
Oh, totally different. What the heck? Colton, why is that like that?
I don't know. Maybe it's just... Okay, so these are the 18-way seats.
Yes.
So maybe if you get the 14-way seats, they're identical, but that to me feels like you have two seats that are not meant to be in this car. That's my impression.
I don't think I think the 14 ways are like this with the perforation.
I don't know, but that seems weird to me. These genuinely may be old Macan seats.
No, the whole car is different. There's nothing shared.
I don't know.
Really.
This to me looks identical. I've detailed so many Macan interiors.
You think it's the same seat bottom?
I know the perforation is exactly the same. That's all I know. But that's one thing I noticed. I know I'm weird. I totally get it. But that to me would drive me nuts.
Okay.
This is why you guys watch this channel, right? I don't even know.
All right, so what else can we find wrong with it so we can be done complaining about issues?
Let's jump over here to the side panels, and we'll talk a little bit more about the front.
Electric door latch, very nice.
Yeah, they feel great, actually.
Yeah, totally. The doors, everything, the shuts when you slam them, rock solid.
Love that. Absolutely love that. So come on over here. Let's talk a little bit about this door panel, because this is where there's a lot of great things about this vehicle. For number one, you have this great tight grain leather up here. You have this nice, very nice wood inlay, of course, contrast stitching here. You have door handles that don't actually match this trim color for sure.
Oh, dude, completely different colors. Hold on, let's see if we can show the viewers. I think, yeah, there we go.
Yeah, not even close.
What? Okay.
We'll look at the other ones, but that's an interesting point there. You have more leather in here with a nice ambient lighting. This is all tight grain leather. Porsche knows how to do leather, though. I mean, to get this on a production car, very complicated and challenging. Even here on the armrests, I love that they've done all the switchgear here in a matte finish instead of having high piano gloss black. It's weird that they have it in gloss black there on the center console, which is kind of your main touch points, and have this. But this all feels very high quality, a very nice clicky feel there. And then down here, Kyle, this is all leather. I love that. That is one of the things I complain about most in cars, is having this all plastic. The reason being is every time you get in and out of the car, you're kicking your foot there, it scratches it and it's permanently scratched, where this is going to wear a heck of a lot better. You do have plastic in here.
You think leather's better there?
Yep, totally.
Well, maybe the standard interior will be plastic there.
It could be, for sure, because this definitely has a
almost guaranteed
higher end interior. But it's really funny, like, so I just have to say this, Model 3 Performance has switched all of their stuff, instead of having plastic here that gets completely destroyed, to carpet. And every single one of my customers complains about it now because it gets dirty and it's starting to wear out the carpet when you get in and out. And the only company I've seen that does it right is Tesla with the Cybertruck that puts leather there, or their vegan leather material, and it does not get completely destroyed.
Oh, wow. Interesting.
So I'd like to see this all leather wrapped. I'll tell you, on Taycan, this always gets destroyed, and I'm betting this will as well. I've had quite a few Taycan customers complain about this plastic in here, because you kind of get in and sit back past the B-pillar.
Yeah, and you're always scrubbing against, coming in and boom on the way in. But I think this also protects maybe some of this. But here's what we're talking about. This leather's, this car has 164 miles on it, and that seat looks like it's got 16,000 miles plus.
I'll probably clean that for them before we give this car back to them. But that's one of those things. It's like Model 3 on a 30,000, 35,000, whatever it is now, dollar car, this is all kind of vegan leather wrapped, and this is plastic on here. That needs to be better, in my opinion.
Okay, good suggestion. I think Porsche should come up with a synthetic leather similar to Rivian and put that all over their cars. I think they're a little bit late to the game there.
I think the industry is very much changing for that. And I don't really care about the green aspect of it. I know a lot of people, you hear the word vegan and you're like, bleh, like vomit. That's not a cool thing to hear. But these interiors, I'm telling you as a professional detailer, cleaning Kyle's Rivian, cleaning my Model 3, the interiors are so much easier to clean and they wear a heck of a lot better.
So I'll have to ask my friend Nick Murray. He knows all the Porsche stuff really well. And if you're not subscribed to Nick Murray and a Porsche viewer, you really should, Porsche fan. But there was a vegan or non-animal derived interior that I can't remember the name of it, though. It was sort of like this nylon-ish material, and I can't remember the name, but it was pretty cool. And I mean, maybe, at least in our market, they don't offer it in Macan, but they have worked on alternative materials, but just do what Rivian does. Just buy their stuff.
Yeah, totally agree. It's incredible. But I mean, all of these areas continue to impress me in some aspect, though. Like even this, Kyle, is all leather wrapped all the way down here. Look at all the stitching in there. Like that is extremely hard to do in a mass production vehicle. So I'm glad to see that. Now, the side of this is plastic, and I know a lot of people are like, who would care? But there are companies like, I think BMW i7, that's leather wrap there. Audi will wrap that as well.
Well, you can get an even higher trimmed leather than this in this car.
Yeah, totally agree. But that's just some things I'd like to say there. Of course, you do have the Burmester down here with an absolute cheese grater. Feel that?
Yeah. It's straight metal, isn't it? Oh yeah, hell yeah! You can you can file your nails on that thing.
You definitely could. Moving to the back door, this is always something I talk about in interiors. Really, when you get to like 3-row SUVs, sometimes it feels like you're sitting in first class, economy, and then third row is like you're sitting next to the toilet in the back of a plane. So I'm glad to see the back here actually feels pretty darn nice. The materials are identical here, so it still feels like, yes, you're sitting in first class. This one matches, though.
Oh, interesting. So this does match.
I don't know, just weird things.
Could it have been the viewing angle? Can you try one more time? Because from where I'm standing, it actually doesn't look like it matches.
Yeah, that is totally more a gold color, and this is very light.
But change your position. Like, come from the front. Like, sit inside the car, maybe. Just to see if it changes.
No, it's still off.
Okay.
It actually maybe looks like this part here, like this matches here, but there's like a silvery part. Let me grab the camera on this side. Can you see that? Yeah, it almost looks like it's worn off there or something.
Maybe they used a cleaner on here.
Okay, so may have to give them a pass on that, but that definitely looks a little bit weird to me. So, backseat review back here. I would say a little tight, but the seat's all the way back.
Yeah, it's definitely
not
tight.
a huge car for sure.
Yeah, I mean, there's ample headroom and legroom for, to take another couple out to dinner.
Yep.
But I wouldn't want to go, all the time across the country.
Not a huge road trip.
There will be a Cayenne electric.
Yeah, absolutely. So leather wrapped back seats here.
Wow.
That's amazing. That
Really?
is really, really high quality feeling.
Dude, that's nice.
That's really nice. That's the things I expect in a car like this. Anything else back here? You can see the rear infotainment screen as I just hit that again. I don't like these charge ports, Kyle.
Yeah. So there isn't really a screen back here. I mean, I
Right.
guess in a sense there is, but it doesn't do anything except display the climate options with those buttons coming right out the middle of the screen, which is really cool.
Yeah, I think it looks so neat. So is this, no, it's not haptic at all, but yeah, definitely just to change, flow of air vents and things like that. But I would say, honestly, the back's not terrible. The rear peasant blockers are definitely a little meh. I would say there is quite a bit of plastic, especially when you get into that side door sill there, Kyle. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would say, so they've inserted this leather piece, but this is all pretty hard, cheap plastic in my impression.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay.
100%.
Let's move to the back and then we'll show the front and we'll end this thing up here.
Well, we got to do paint quality.
That's true. I forgot about that. Whoa. Have you seen these floor mats yet?
No. Oh, what the heck?
Those are crazy looking. I've never seen that from Porsche. Ooh, and they have the nice, look at this. A little piece of leather and turbo with the same gold stitching. So cool.
And you're just going to be stepping on that the whole time.
Yeah, and then you hire people like me to clean it all the time. Does this have an underfloor trunk here?
Yes, but it's going to be mostly taken up by a subwoofer.
Holy nothing.
Yes, completely subwoofer with cooling,
Dang.
which I'll be putting that to the max this week.
Oh, yeah. But yeah, honestly.
The Bose takes up about half, and then the base sound system is a full open underfloor.
Okay. So, yeah, if you get Burmester, you sacrifice some space. I don't think you're really hauling a ton of stuff
Worth
with your
it.
Macan. Yeah.
Spec it. Not enough people spec Burmesters in Porsches.
Totally
Bose
agree.
is like barely passable, and then like just it's $5,000 on 100. It's less than 5% the value of the car. Just
It sounds insane.
Yeah.
It really is impressive. Here, these all have all rear or all air suspension on all Macans, correct?
in the U.S.
In the US. Okay. And you can actually drop this down.
Yeah, you can Carolina squat it. There, it's.
Something.
Oh, maybe because the door is open.
Yeah.
Oh no!
there
Here
it
we
goes.
go.
You can full squat this bad boy out.
See, this should be the standard ride height position.
Yes, totally agree. Or a load entry exit.
Wait,
Now
it's even
going
doing
back.
the front.
Oh, is it really?
I've never seen that before. Keep holding it down.
Ooh, it looks even better.
Yeah, maybe this is how we got to do it for photos. That's the way to get it totally slammed.
Things are clicking and happening. I
Yeah,
don't-
yeah. Just keep it held.
I think that's maxed out.
Okay,
Okay,
that's
well, that's cool.
Worth some investigating.
Yeah, definitely. I like that because if you're having dogs go in here, they can easily jump in. If you're loading stuff here, I think that's a very cool trick thing with the air suspension. Here is how you basically fold up the front seats or the rear seats. Ooh, they go reasonably flat.
Yes, they do.
Not bad at all. What do you think about the rear storage space back here?
It's a Macan. This is the smallest SUV, and it's certainly from a space efficiency standpoint, Porsche has never been good at that. Look at Taycan. It's same footprint as Lucid with like half the interior
No space. Yeah, no space.
So I think what you gain is a big subwoofer.
Yeah, okay, sure.
But no, it's not huge. It's not big enough for the dogs. This is not a contender in our life with 3 big dogs at
Right.
all. I wish it would be because it drives so well. It looks so cool from the front. And
Totally agree.
It's such a nice car that I'm
From the front.
really into it. But not the storage space just isn't enough. But this is meant to be a compact SUV.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
Well, as the air suspension slightly went back up,
Yep.
I want to open the front trunk, which you can do there. Ooh,
Wow.
and it actually opens.
And you can do it on the key as well.
Yes, and you want to say something about that?
Yeah, because I'll never let them go. they did the buttons wrong on the key, Colton. This is the video where we're nitpicking the Macan. That's what
Yes.
we should call it. But it has the Turbo Night Porsche
is
badge,
awesome.
which is cool. But in a normal Porsche key, it goes unlock, lock, front trunk, rear trunk. And so even at the Porsche dealer today, they went to unlock the Macan and hit the front trunk, and this thing flies open. And so, you know, if this is not your first Porsche, maybe it's not an issue, but also like it's nice to just reach into your pocket and unlock a car.
Grab the top one.
And you know it's the top button, but here it's like there's no detent. You have to look every time to find the unlock.
That's something a lot of companies get wrong. And can you do any phone key or anything like that with this?
Maybe yes, I think. Yes.
Because I'm thinking like BMW iX has a very cool integration of it. BMW keys are pretty great, how you can have them on your phone.
Same as Kia, actually.
Yep, exactly the same way. But honestly, not a huge front trunk here, but still reasonably usable. I mean,
so your cooling package is behind here. So this car has, you know, incredible thermal management, and partially that takes up this space.
What is this?
It's a divider that I think, I can't remember why it's there.
I'm just saying that feels absolutely terrible.
Yes, I said that in the review as well.
That feels like the cheapest thing. It's kind of like the ID Buzz ice scraper. It would have been great if they would have done this, and then you could have a nice ice scraper on there. But yeah, that feels very cheap.
No, Porsche will sell you the accessory ice scraper for $3,000.
Yes, please do. So yeah, I mean, not a huge amount of space. Again, we continue to say this is not the big Cayenne version, but I think, you know, daily driving around, getting groceries, hauling, you know, kids and family to and from soccer practice, man, what a great looking car to do it in. But
great looking, great driving, very high quality.
Yes.
But then like, when we really dig into the last, you know, 5% of everything, like stuff like that, yeah, dude, I'm a little bit shocked as well.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, I really expected this thing to come in and be like, says traditional Porsche, everything is perfect. No notes. But I have a lot of notes on this, surprisingly. So I think the last thing we'll do here, let's quickly run through a paint thickness evaluation. This car's already been detailed at the dealership.
I don't know. Do you think they detailed it?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, okay. I'm not going to say any more than that. So let's
we
get
love
into
Porsche
that.
Fort Collins, but if you live in the area, just don't have them wash it and bring it to Colton. And I talked to them about that today, and they were like, oh, okay, we got it.
Yep.
Yeah.
So let's jump into that.
It is time for the paint evaluation.
So in front of me here, or I guess in my hand here, we have a paint meter. Now what this does is essentially you set this on the paint, it sends a signal down to the metal, sends a signal back, and measures the thickness of the paint. So there's a few things we're looking for here, not only paint thickness, but paint consistency. What I like to see on a traditional vehicle, I've worked on a ton of Porsches in my career, but between 4 to 6 mils is really kind of the industry standard for paint. So I want to see it within those tolerances. I always like to see more paint than less paint, but I want to see consistency. So for example, I don't want to see 3 mils here and then 6 mils in the middle of the hood, i.e. this Quicksilver Model 3 behind me. So let's just take some measurements here.
Poor Tesla's been taking a beating today.
Well, paint your cars properly. 473 right there. 556. 530, 532.
Wow.
So like some of that looks really good. I'm not sure why this area was so low.
It's not
lower.
too bad. Yeah.
No, I think honestly within a mil discrepancy is within pretty darn good tolerances there. Wow.
What's your impression of just the look of the paint, the quality of the clear coat? Because thickness is one thing, but we've seen different varying qualities and polish marks and things like that.
Yeah, Porsches actually come in with quite a few polishing marks, so that is very indicative that they're actually doing quality control. I was just telling Kyle off camera, a lot of their RS cars, a lot of their paint to sample vehicles have a ton of sanding marks on them, tons of rotary marks on them. So there's a lot of work being done, you know, right after they painted them before they deliver them. So, you know, I've worked on brand new GT3 RSs that I am having to really go in, compound and polish the heck out of them, even for a brand new car. I think that's okay to see as long as you understand why they're doing it. Now, in terms of the quality here, for one, this color is incredible. It's very deep. It's got very nice shadows and highlights in it. And I will say, like, just looking at the finish, really nice orange peel. It's very consistent throughout the entire vehicle. I look at a lot of cars and we're, you know, really talking about paint quality analysis, and you'll see a huge variation from how bumpers are painted to how normal panels are. One thing I definitely want to make sure, and don't let me forget this, is I want to check the color difference between the bumpers, because I always say Porsches are like very much spot on, where I've been seeing companies, Rivian, Lucid, even Tesla, of course, have bumpers that really don't match. So far, Kyle, I'm actually pretty impressed with the paint thickness here. I mean, it's very consistent throughout. I haven't seen, it's a little bit higher. Right as I say that, every time I say that, it does that. But honestly, this is looking pretty darn good.
Yeah, wow. And even the consistency panel to panel.
Right. And you'll see some variation, you know, with this too. So think about orange peel. You have kind of these mountains and valleys. So you can be measuring a little up and a little down. So there is some discrepancy throughout. So,
and for the people who are asking, like, why didn't you try the bumper? Well, the bumper's plastic.
yeah. So if I stick this on here, does nothing.
It has no idea. Yeah.
So up there, 474. We'll just get some measurements throughout.
Oh.
One thing, that was a little low. One thing we didn't talk about was the sunroof here is actually split so that you can actually open this, which is pretty cool. But yeah, that's a little low, I would say. 477. Let's go in the center there as I just unlocked it. 466. 531. Yeah, some panels are definitely a little bit better than others. That was the highest reading we've gotten.
6.8. Yep. So what's your impression on this? We're in the mid fives here.
Yeah, honestly, some discrepancy throughout. I mean, I wouldn't say it's horrendous. I'd like to see it a little bit closer together.
Yeah, we've seen some really bad ones though, and I think ultimately this is something that doesn't really impact the customer experience so much, as long as the paint looks, you know, really consistent, and the orange peel looks really nice in this.
Yeah, I totally agree. It's a very high quality paint. I've always said Porsche has great paint, and I would say very similar here. Now, the reason that paint thickness is important, let's say you get a scratch here, right? And maybe you need to wet sand that scratch out instead of having to repaint an entire panel. I mean, think about this panel. If you get a scratch here, you're having to paint into all of this. So it's nice to have paint there, but then it's also nice to have, you know, consistent paint, because you don't want to blow through the paint when you're trying to wet sand something. So that's why we talk about that. But let's jump into this other side. 477. So it seems to be,
I would say it's all between 4 and 6.
Yeah.
Well, let's say 4 and 7, which I think is really good.
yeah, I totally agree. So I'd say that's pretty darn good. Last thing I want to look at, I'm going to get my scan grips out and I want to look at those bumpers, because that to me looks almost perfect.
Yeah, dude, it looks really good.
So the scan grip light here, guys, is basically something that mimics the sun. And as I look through here, it's actually different.
It is different.
It's slightly different.
And is that typical on Porsches?
No. I mean, a lot of the Porsches that I've worked on are RS cars. I've done some Macans, but they seem to be quite consistent. I want to look at the rear bumper.
We should almost go to Porsche Fort Collins and grab a combustion Macan.
But this matches perfect here, and this is plastic.
Oh yeah, hold on. Let's show the viewers.
That is a perfect match there. Yeah, no notes there. But the bumpers are definitely a different color.
Yep, bumpers are different.
Well, I'm going to have to eat my own words, because I always say Porsche bumpers are perfect, and in this case, they are not. Okay.
Wow.
Interesting.
How about the spoiler? Spoiler's plastic too, right?
That's definitely plastic and a rattle in there.
Yeah, there's a rattle somewhere here.
They're slightly different.
Really? Here, let me come on over to your view. There you go.
They're ever so slightly different. I don't think I would never really notice that, especially outside.
Well, maybe we'll have to see how
it.
it looks in the sun. Now that I know to look for it, we haven't had this car out in the sun yet. The only time I've really had it has been inside the showroom or here.
Yeah, wow. I'm really surprised by that bumper, honestly. Okay, so let's look here at the hood. Yeah, I mean, this to me looks yellow.
Yeah,
I mean,
I agree.
This light is yellow. Let's change the hue on this.
Mm-hmm.
Still different.
Mm-hmm. Totally.
Wow. Okay. Final thoughts on the Macan. I'm a little surprised, to be honest. There's definitely a few things that need to be tightened up and need to be with the Porsche DNA, honestly. Yeah, I think the interior is very nice on this, but I'm actually kind of shocked. And I think I may be blowing it out of proportion. Like these tolerances, if you had them on any other car, you'd be like, wow, this is very nicely done as far as it being put together. But I'm just shocked because I'm so used to how Porsche builds cars that some of this stuff I expect a little better. What are your thoughts?
Well, what I think we should do is we should get another Macan in here. I want to know if it's a vehicle-specific issue, but there's so many little things that I'm just not sure how it could be vehicle-specific. It could be color-specific. So they just got a Macan 4 in Aventurine green. That looks really nice. We could bring that car over.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a bunch of things we can do, but ultimately, Colton, when you buy a Porsche, at least for me, when I drive a Porsche, when I experience them, even when I talk to the intentions of the people engineering this car, project managers, vehicle line managers, things like that. The intention is for as close to perfection as reasonably possible, given the fact that this still has to be a mass market car.
Yes.
And I would say there was a lot of room for improvement on the exterior of this vehicle. The inside, almost near perfect except for the shades. And, just material choices here and there.
That's weird though. Like even the shades, like that to me doesn't jive with what I've seen with Porsche. I mean, genuinely, when I work on these cars, and I've said this in multiple videos, I, as a professional detailer, love working on Porsches because they have the attention to detail. I work on a ton of Teslas, a ton of Rivians, and there's small things that I can appreciate that they do, but I really appreciate it when I get to these cars. And honestly, I'm slightly let down by that. Now, is this a terrible car because the bumper is this far off? No, but I think this is something that some Porsche enthusiasts may look at and go, maybe something to think about.
Yeah, I can't wait to send this video to some of the engineers that I know and just be like, what the heck is going on? Because, like you mentioned, I get it. This is one of the very first ones of a new model year. No excuse. It's got a Porsche badge. You're paying the price. It should be near perfection on a brand new car. Forgiven some, sanding marks and stuff like that. We always expect things like that. But on the fit and finish, the actual base color being different panel to panel, and dude, I don't know, that doesn't paint a great picture to me.
Nope, totally agree. So let me know what you guys think. Is this acceptable for a Porsche, or do you expect a little bit better? Let me know in the comment section below. But thanks so much for watching another out of spec detailing video here from Clear Detailing. And thanks to Kyle for filming this whole thing and walking us through the Macan. We'll see you in the next one soon. Bye-bye.